Okay, Dad, that overview video did me a lot of good. Laugh out loud. So now then we're just going to get in straight into the meat of things. And we're going to buy some mutual funds. And I'm going to show you how to do it now. Now this assumes you run your generate buy sell stock sheet and we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to buy some mutual funds. And before we even get started, I'm going to talk about some of these buttons. The red buttons really do something. And they're probably, most of the time you see a red button, you'll need to click it. These lighter yellow buttons right here, and there's only one in this one. It can get you in trouble, but it probably won't. And these darker yellow buttons, I should have made them green, but they won't get you into any trouble at all. Like if these rows aren't colored right, you can click that many times you want, and then it is fine. Say you want to sort by ticker, and you see your rows aren't alternated like they should be, you click that, and it just simply colors them, so it's easy to see what's going on. Update ticker links is the same thing. That won't get you into any trouble. And that's a very valuable button right there because if you want to add a mutual fund, all you need to do is enter the mutual fund name, its ticker name in both these columns. Like this, for the fun of it, we'll do Lily. Even though it's not a fund, it won't hurt a thing. And again, I'm going on the TV here, so I'm having all kinds of fun. And it looks like I typed in OK. And I click this update ticker link. And lo and behold, we have a link to Lily automatically, so you just press and hold the control key. And it opens up. There is no Lily for this. So you have to type a mutual fund in, a legitimate mutual fund. But anyway, that's what that button does. It automatically adds the links so you can do your research. So let's clear that crap out. And that's how that works. And clear all this out. That was a minute of video that wasn't necessary, but anyway, it shows you what that that button does. So we want to buy some mutual funds, and you would think, well, let's just pick these mutual funds out here. Let's pick the top 5 or 6 and buy them, and that's the ones we want to buy. No, notice that's not necessarily the way you make the most money. Even though this fund right here has the highest yield, it's got a pretty expensive total expense ratio, and its low expense is rated 2, which means this fund, even though it makes a lot of money, it takes a lot of money away from you. So that's what this yellow button's for. We click on that, and it creates our filter. And by the way, for this to work, and you can have this runs on Windows just as well as it does Linux, you want to make sure you have Libre Office 4.132, because if you don't, these buttons won't work. The old versions don't. And that's the reason I had all these sort buttons right here, because I was running an old version. And when they had the new version, when it came out in Ubuntu 3.10, I wouldn't have done any of this stinking work. But I was too lazy to take it out. Well, anyway, let's go ahead here. Let's say you're an old fart like me, and you want to be pretty daggone safe. So I want to go in, and I want my total return, and Libre values are like the opposite of murder. I guess cancer is the best thing. Low numbers for cancers are good. High number for Libre values are good. So it's the opposite of cancer. So you want high numbers for the best. So we want the total. I want total returns greater. Let's do that right here. Greater than equal. And Libre values go from 1 to 5. And now if you're got an IRA, you don't have to worry about this, but I do, so I'm going to put it in just for demonstration. Tax efficiency, I want that greater than equal to 4, because if I don't have this, I may have to pay taxes out the ass, even though I make lots of money, which means I would lose money in the long haul. And I don't want minimum investments here, and I'll get into that for you later. So I don't minimum IRA invest. So I want minimum investment less than or equal to 3,000. Click OK, and look how that filters these things out for me. Notice I've got total returns is 5, which is the best. Low expenses, all except this Hutchins, are all 5s. But Hutchins makes so much money, it's worth keeping so far. Tax efficiency is all great, so I don't want to pay taxes out the wazoo. Consistent returns are pretty good. Capital preservation, well, that's not so hot on this guy, but I kind of like to have an aggressive one. So I'm going to keep it. And I like all these. So now then I'm going to buy some of these mutual funds. But looky here, I already have purchased some in another investment. So what I need to do now is clear this out. And I click that red button. And it says data exists. It warns you. Are you sure you want to override it? I sure do. Now then I want to purchase these mutual funds. So I put my cursor. This is the only, in this case, this is the only position that I can buy from. Because if I put it somewhere else and say buy a mutual fund, I guess it puts me through this crap first. I'll fix that. It says cursor set in invalid cell area. So make sure you have it in this one. And this is going to be the weight. We're going to buy the most of this one and the least of this one, because this one makes the most money. This makes the least money. So I'll come up here and I'll put buy mutual fund. And I am not investing in an IRA because I'm retired. If you're buying an IRA, you certainly want to click that, because, and we'll get into that after I finish this. Okay, we're going to buy $10,000 worth. And now then we just, you notice that is purchased. And I want to buy that one. And if we're operating on my monitor instead of the TV, I'd use the arrow down key here to move down. And I should have. Anyway, I think I'd have been faster. And click on that and buy that one. Now notice if you click on one of these again, try to buy it again, it'll warn you. You already selected that one. So your old man did put a few safeguards in. Now then, we purchase all these mutual funds. There they are right there. So now then, we go to the mutual funds purchased. Whoa, it says I can't afford this. Why in the hell can't I afford it? And this is kind of a clunky spreadsheet, but it's effective. And notice up here it says the minimum amount I can spend is $15,000. And I'm only spending $10,000. So if I come over here and say try to fix, it's going to tell me that. It's going to tell me I must invest at least $15,200, and the reason I put that extra $200 in is to all these shaft programs round things off, and if you're not careful, you can really hose yourself. So we want to make sure we got plenty in here. So I'm going to change the amount I'm going to invest to $20,000. And it says I still can't afford these, and you see why. Here we have the minimum purchase is $3,000, and I've only bought that much. So now then, we've got to fix that if I want to keep these two. And if I don't want to keep those two, I can delete them out. But just by simply coming over here and delete selected row. But I want to keep them. So I'll click try to fix, and lo and behold, I've got enough money to buy all this stuff. So let's resort this, and you can see even though those weren't my top choices by the weights, I still wanted to keep them. So now then, this is the most heavily weighted, and see how close to that $6,000 by try to fix shaft button came to the $3,000 minimum. And that's how you buy mutual funds. So we can come back to this mutual fund list, and we're going to do an example for you simply with the same stocks. And you can sort these any way you want. As you can see, you just come in and click that button, click standard filter, and you can change these criteria to anything you want. So you've really got an infinite number of ways to buy. But I just want to show you how differently this behaves if you're buying IRAs rather than non-IRAs. So I'm going to clear this fund out. And we're going to come right back in here. And I'm going to buy these mutual funds. First of all, I'm going to point out, look at the minimum investment for a non-IRA and look at the minimum investment for an IRA. And that makes a tremendous amount of difference. So your minimum values are going to be based on this rather than this. So we're going to buy the mutual fund. So we put that cursor on this column right here, 5-year average interest rate. I'm going to buy it. And this time I'm going to turn around to the back and try to buy these. And I'm going to say, yes, I'm buying an IRA, and I'm buying $10,000. And it purchased that, and arrow down, click, and see how fast this goes. So we bought all the mutual funds. We come to our funds purchased. And now then there's only two we can't afford. And now then you want to decide if you want to keep these or not. Because see, But the weight we chose, you only want to invest $976 in this fund, but it's going to make you invest $3,000, and that really changes the percent of the portfolio. So I'll just show you how this works. I'm not going to buy a damn fund. So I delete that row. But I want to keep this one. I'm going to keep that, and so we'll try to fix it. And lo and behold, there it is. So that's how all this process works. This spreadsheet is dynamically generated. As you can tell, it's got this column right here. It doesn't have any formulas, but look at the formulas and all these others. So you want to make sure you're careful when you delete these things, especially if this top one were to be deleted. You would delete it in this manner, because you wouldn't want to delete that total invested. So we come over here and we'd delete, and I want to shift cells up, and it works. Oh, it still screwed this one up. It still screwed that formula up. So that shows you how easy it is to screw these formulas up. And it really didn't hurt anything in this case, but you never want to touch any of the formulas up here. And you see, this thing just laced with formulas. So anyway, that's how you do this. It might be safer just come back rather than do any of that stuff as quickly as you can do this. Is say you don't want this one, and you can get rid of that real easy, because look at low expense. So we can come into our standard filter here, and we add another one, and low expense, is greater than 3. And I got rid of that puppy. And then you clear your mutual funds out and just rebuy them like we did last time. Put your cursor on this average 5-year APR and buy the stock and go through it all again. Let's do that again, because we're going with an IRA this time. $10,000. And see, if you don't have that cursor where it belongs, it won't let you do anything. And it's hard to do this when you're back to the computer. Now then, we'll try it again. Arrow down. Buy. Whoops, I didn't arrow down. And then when you go to your mutual funds purchase sheet and you fix it, it's just the way you want it. And that's how you buy mutual funds. Again, you can filter this any way you want. You can buy IRAs, or you can have it in cash for a car fund to where you won't have to pay the IRA penalty. And you can recolor the rows. That didn't work because I got a filter on here. But I just wanted to show you one other thing. Unless, I guess, I better tell you this. You want to make sure your filters are off. And the way you turn those filters are off when you leave this is click that button twice. And there we are back again. And I wanted to show you this one particular fund. This Munder fund has a minimum of $1 million if you're not going to buy an IRA. But you look over here, the minimum investment for an IRA, there's no minimum. You can buy $10 worth of their stuff. And what that means is they just don't want to muck around with anything but IRAs. And several of these funds are that way. But Vanguard's a biggie. They stick you the same no matter which way you go. I guess this one right here out of T-Row. You see what a difference that is if you go with an IRA. So if you're going with IRAs, you may want to make sure you click on buying an IRA, and that way you won't have to worry about. There's another one, $10,000 minimum for a non-IRA, $2,000 minimum for an IRA. So it doesn't mess your weights up when you go to purchase them. And that's just about it.